Hey everyone, welcome back to Automation. So this week I decided I wanted to do something a little bit different. Specifically, I want to go ahead and try and put a Cummins engine into automation and then into the truck that you can see in front of you here. Now this is not easy to do because obviously automation does not have diesel, so we're going to fake a diesel engine using gas, and it's not gonna go well, as usual here. But gather around, boys and girl. I think it's important that I show you what I'm doing here because, yeah, I've got the specs from a website, literally the first website I saw. I'm gonna be copying these throughout this build, and then hopefully it fits in here, I don't know. Okay, so the first and most obvious issue here is that this looks like a Ford. It's probably going to look like a Ford when I'm done with it as well. I like Ford trucks. Not a big fan of Dodge trucks, sorry Dodge fans. I do like Cummins engines though, but let's go ahead and let's be honest about things here. It's all steel, it's longitudinally mounted, and it's got leafs in the front and the back. Quickly making a new engine here. This is going to be a rear-wheel drive truck. So I'm thinking we go inline 6, that's what it's got to be. According to the spec sheet that I'm reading, these are cast iron, and the bore and stroke here, the bore is 102. This is converted from inches, so it's not exact. And the stroke is 120, which will give us approximately 5.9, which is exactly what we're looking for. And yeah, it's going to be rear-wheel drive. I think that just makes the most sense. Now, here's where we start to have to do things a little bit different because according to this spec sheet, it's overhead valve. I'm gonna have to do overhead cam, 2 valves per cylinder. I could do overhead cam here, but I think this makes a little bit more sense. I might have to tweak this to get to the power figure that we need to be at, but it's probably not going to get there very easily anyways, so it might end up being quality spam that gets us to where we need to be. Just in case my disclaimers from before were not enough, I think it's important to mention that this is not going to be exact, not necessarily exact at all. I'm really going to be trying to fake things in here to make it work, and if it doesn't work, then at least I tried. Alright, skipping over to turbos because, yeah, this is going to be turbocharged. We're not going old school. We'll go slightly newer school. What I want to do though is I want to make this after a 1991 engine, so it's not going to have an intercooler, which means it's going to be a non-intercooled inline 6 turbo, which is going to be pretty interesting. But I'm just going to quickly go for a fuel economy preset. As people mentioned in the previous video, I probably should have put a smaller turbo on, just because that would make it a better performer at low RPM. Anyway, so we have injection. It's mechanical fuel injection. I don't know if it's single or per cylinder, so I'm going to use single for this, and I'm going to go for a standard intake, and that should be okay. Per cylinder looks like this, single looks like this. I mean, we can adjust this as necessary, but I'll leave it here for now. That should be okay. Now, diesel is a tricky one, so I'm just going to go ahead and give it the best gas we can possibly give it. And yeah, this thing is looking a little bit weird without an intercooler on there. So the biggest thing here, and the thing that I think is most important, is that the RPM limit on this engine is 2700. It will not go past that unless you take off the governor, I believe. So we're just going to leave it right there like that and hope for the best. Can't have the graphs yet. So we'll see soon. In terms of exhaust, I mean, we would have exhaust, but I'm just going to put none on in order to potentially gain the most power possible, and immediately we are having some significant knocking issues, but at least the engine fits. That's a bonus there. 21 horsepower, we have a long way to go. So I want to mention this now, our power goal, I'm going to try and go for the low end here. I'm going to try to be realistic for what is possible in automation, but 160 is kind of what I'm after in terms of power, and then in terms of torque, I want to go for, I think it's 542 Newton meters, so yeah, the difference there is quite significant. Okay, one thing I forgot to do before was that the compression on this engine in real life is 17.1, or 17.21, which is nuts, and not even possible. That's extreme compression in automation, and the max we can do is 15, so that's what we got. 23 horsepower, 100% knocking, it's beautiful. Okay, so the first thing that I would do in this situation normally is just go over to the fuel system, and obviously it's not getting enough fuel, so we can raise that up. Actually, hold on a minute though. Our RON here says 137. That is Oh wow, hold on hold on now. Is that even possible? I think that's the highest I've ever seen there. This might be a failure right out of the gate. Okay, I don't think I've ever seen this before in this game, but I've somehow managed to make the torque curve drop down as you go forward. So as soon as you start it up, you're getting a cool 10 Newton meters, and then you've got a flatline horsepower curve all the way down. Yeah, I think I broke it. Okay, so I did manage to fix it, but you're going to be disappointed here. I had to turn down the compression significantly because it just seems like it's not possible any other way. I think we might have to give up on the compression being high just because we don't have actual diesel fuel, and it seems like I'm not going to be able to get the torque and the power that I want at all if I have high compression, so unfortunately that's being sacrificed in the name of actually working. Yeah, I apologize, I guess it's not a full-on diesel now, is it? I tried though, I tried. Keep in mind that this is with full-on quality components as well. I turned everything all the way up, and the cam profile is also all the way up. So this is gonna have to go down even further, and this should be a lot farther down than it is. Yeah, we're actually making too much power now. Didn't realize that was going to be an issue. So this time around, I'm not making the same mistake I did last time. Instead, I'm actually using the heavy-duty components because they're the ones that work best at low RPM. Okay, so I set a goal for myself to hit 160 horsepower, and I've got 187.2. I had to gimp the engine a little bit, try and work with it a little bit more to try and get that to work well. I could go up, I could do 240. I mean, if we wanted to make a tuned, boosted Cummins version, then we could definitely do that, but yeah, here we are right there, and that's 530.5 Newton meters of torque at 2000 RPM. The actual engines are capable of 542 up to 596, and that's at 1600 RPM, so that's way back here. Like, that's a lot of power, and I just can't match that with gas, even with I actually ended up turning down the quality sliders, and this is sort of my my tune, I guess, if that's the way to put it. I've got compression pretty much as high as I can get it. Cam profile is sort of just mid to low. Turbo is as small as it can be without making it super weak, and it is journal bearing, believe it or not. Fuel system I left at plus 15. I could turn this down, maybe I should. But it just ends up causing a lot of issues, so I figured I'd leave it where it is, but everything here is still the same. The fuel mixture is lower so we can get better economy. I mean, we should get reasonable economy out of this, and the ignition timing is also lower. The exhaust, I actually put exhaust on the thing, and it seems to be a little bit restrictive. Oh no, apparently I have to explain that all again because I just messed that up. You know what, screw those previous performance numbers, we're going 205, 549, that looks a lot better to me. That's a lot of power. All I did was I messed with the exhaust, and then I turned down the quality and turned up the fuel mixture, so we're getting a little bit worse fuel economy, but we are now down a lot in cost because the quality of the, like this stuff here, all the fuel stuff, is lower, so that's a little bit better. Not complaining though, everything is working out okay here. That's a lot of power though, and I think it's going to be fun to drive this thing around with that. It's going to be a really good tower as well. Somehow I'm doing 2 towing vehicles in 2 videos. Don't know how that happened. Okay, so I'm thinking that we go with the cab in a bit instead of the full-on cab, or the full-on double cab, that is. Double cabs are very nice, but this is maybe a little bit more period correct, so I'm going to go ahead with that. So I've called this an XLT, mostly because it's going to be the XLT variant. So it's got chrome trim, and it's got a nice 2-tone color scheme to it, a white bed, which is completely impractical, but yeah, I'm not particularly worried about that. Let's go ahead and add some stuff to this thing now. I've been pretty okay at designing trucks recently, but I'm not going to psych myself out too much here because, yeah, I could completely mess this up, and I'm very likely to completely mess this up. Let's be real honest. Okay, so I'm going to tick a few boxes here before I mess them up because I have done so in the past quite a few times, but I'm going to put a bumper on the back. This is going to be a giant chrome bumper, but I think this bumper set looks quite good, so it should work out just fine for this. We'll just have to change up the colors a little bit. Like, I don't think painted bumpers were a thing back in these days, but yeah, you know what, that doesn't quite look right. Let's go with that, and we'll go with a a blue insert. A little bit different, but I think that's pretty cool. And then something that is extremely important is it needs a hitch, so I'm going to put that down there, try and make it a little bit bigger so it sticks out a bit, and there we go, we actually have a tow vehicle now. Something that I forgot last time was the exhaust, which I don't know how I forgot that, but anyways, let me try and make up for it by putting exhaust on. We'll just have that, maybe not that one, maybe this one, just coming out the side there, and that should be okay. Yes, I could give this thing stacks. No, I am not going to give it stacks. Don't worry, I will do something about that in the future. We can definitely make a brodozer version of this thing. Okay, because I'm kind of unsure how I want it to look, I'm just going to go ahead and add some basic things, stuff that just makes sense for the time period and also for the truck itself. So it needs wipers, obviously, it needs a fuel cap, it needs mirrors, stuff like that, and those are the kind of things I'm just going to add quickly now. Just little touches that really kind of bring the whole thing together. Now obviously this truck says 93, and this does not really look like a 93 truck, it kind of looks like a 70s truck. Don't worry about that, I'm styling it completely off of my own ideas here. It's not going to be period correct, as with literally everything I've done so far today. It's very much my own thing. Okay, so headlights, I was thinking of probably just going with the exact same ones I used on the Hummer. These ones here just work out really nicely for these old trucks. So let's go with them. I don't see why not at this point. I think they're kind of just perfect. Like even the chrome can stay this time, which is great. The only thing is I wish they kind of formed up with that, but obviously that's not really this time period, so we'll just have to pretend. Something that's extremely important though to get the look down for this is the grille. Obviously we have a couple of old grille options. The grills and stuff on these trucks were pretty darn simple, so I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of make one. It's not too difficult with this. Just a big grille, very square, very large, very chrome. And wow, that doesn't look right at all, does it? Okay, apparently this is a knockoff now. You know what? Screw it, I'm putting 60s mirrors on there. If you want to be able to see, you better buy a newer truck, because they haven't restyled this one in 30 years. Okay, obvious things that are missing. Not much. I mean, an antenna would be good. Other than that, though, I just need to do the back end, and this baby's wrapped up. Oh, we probably should put a plate in that hole as well. Kinda need something. Let's pack up and move to California. Here it is right here. That is a perfect spot for that. I think I'm probably gonna need to add some rear lights to it. Okay, I found a package that literally works perfectly. It's got a bit of chrome on it, a little bit of decoration on it. That is flawless. Really like the look of this. It's got that classic old style, and I think it's going to work out just right for me. Now, we could put Ford or Cummins on the back here. I do want to add a couple little small things though. There must be some kind of badge on here that I have that works out for this. It's not 4-wheel drive, but is there diesel? Okay, I was going to try to add a bumper sticker, but I can't do that. This one won't let me, so I'm a little bit sad. I'm just going to go ahead and put that there, because why not? Other than that though, I think it's done in terms of style. Let's make those wheels a little bit bigger and sign this thing off. We gotta try it in Beam. Okay, like I said before, rear wheel drive, automatic, 4-speed or 3-speed. Let's go 4, let's be nice. Nice to myself, that is. 195, that's actually pretty fast. You know what, last time I really did not think, and I gave it an automatic. This time I'm giving it a manual. I messed that up before. I'm not messing that up again. We'll come back to the spacing and stuff later, but it's going to be open diffs, and the wheels are going to be chunky off-road. 225 seems a little bit small. Maybe 235? You know what, 245. How about that? And then the offset as well, especially at the back, needs to be a little bit better. It looks like it's just a little bit too narrow for my liking, so that's what I'm doing. 16s actually seems a bit big, so I'm gonna go 15s, and I'll increase the tire size here. Yeah, actually that looks really good. That is the exact stance that I was hoping for. 245 seemed to be exactly right for this, so let's go with that. Okay, I'm gonna give it solid discs at the front. I will make those 4 pistons, and I'll give it solid discs at the back as well. I will make those 2 pistons. Probably not totally realistic, but I want to be able to stop. off-road skid tray, a little bit of brake airflow, just the salt on top of here, bench seat in the front, standard interior. Let's give it a standard cassette. Yeah, this stuff here just seems to be fine. Nothing really going on. Suspension, important. Gas, passive. No real choices there. And we'll go for a utility preset. Alright, I'm pretty okay with this. The drivability's high. The thing actually looks okay. Everything else is kind of coming together. It's a 5.9 kind of. I mean, it is a 5.9, but it shares only a few of the specs from it. It's not going to be a perfect replica in terms of pulling power or anything like that, but I think it's almost ready to go. I'm going to give it one last look through and make sure I didn't screw anything up royally, and then we'll get into this. Alright, well the only things I really needed to change were the brakes were way too small, and the gearing was a little bit off, but I think everything's ready to go. I will, by the way, I'm going to make a crazier version of this, and I have some ideas for like a boosted Cummins deal. Drop some ideas down below though. What do you think it should look like? Should I plaster it with Monster Energy drinks? Monster Energy symbols? Should I give it like stacks? I don't know. Give me some ideas. And with that, let's go on to BeamNG. Let's test this thing out. Let's pull some stuff, and we'll see what it'll do versus the Hummer that I made last time. I don't know. Just for fun. So in the last video I saw a comment that said that I should make my videos shorter, and my answer to that is no. I'm not going to make them shorter. I think half an hour is pretty reasonable. Yeah, I try to go for about 30 minutes or so with these videos, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a lot less, sometimes a lot more by accident. It just kind of goes how it goes. I don't edit them to a specific length really. I just have half an hour as a rough goal in mind, and yeah, some videos are purposefully shorter than that, some are longer, but this one, I've got no idea. Now, talking about the Ford Cummins XLT thing that we see before us right now, I'm really glad I made it a manual transmission. I think that kind of saved it from the fate of the Hummer last time. That car is gimped because I decided to give it an advanced auto instead of, or actually not an advanced auto, just a regular auto instead of letting me shift gears myself, which means that it's a one gear wonder and it basically just stays in the same gear the whole time. Which is not great, as you can imagine. However, this one, because it's a manual, has the ability to do a lot more than the Hummer does, including shift gears. Wow, I didn't think that was possible. But yeah, it only revs up to 2700 RPM. Inline sixes in terms of sound are currently broken, so it doesn't really make any noise. If it had no mufflers, it would be way too loud, but because it has mufflers, it is really quiet, so don't expect to hear too much engine noise. I apologize for that. I gotta say though, I'm very happy with the way that it turned out in terms of looks. I think that the front grille might be a little bit off, but other than that, like, it's really just spot on. I'm throwing dust up everywhere because that open diff, but this thing is just like, it's supposed to be period correct 90s, but it's really period correct 70s, and I don't mind. I'm okay with that. I should probably change gears, but I can't hear when it hits the high RPM because 2700 is not exactly high. Here we go though, come on, durability test. Ooh, that was a bit rough there. Not bad though, not bad. Yeah, without the front bumper and back bumper, I think it looks okay, but I really do think that those add just a little bit extra to it. The normal preset that I put it on, I think I've mentioned this in a few videos, but if you use an off-road preset, it turns into a sponge, and I'm not a fan of that, so I always give them the normal or utility preset if I'm making a truck. Now I see something over here that is totally out of place for this, but I want to quickly try it, and then we'll go ahead and tow some stuff. I guess we can tow the same load that we did last time, maybe just the hay bales, probably not try and get stuck under the bridge again. Okay, maybe I don't have enough power to get up this, or enough traction I should say, because this thing spins the gear, or it spins the wheels in any gear. There we go, and never mind. So the thing that inspired this, I posted it on Twitter, but I've been working outside for the past couple weeks, and it's going to be like that for the rest of the year with my work. Basically, they've pivoted me outside for the remainder of the year to go watch a project that I started, so it's kind of cool to see that, but it's also putting me outside with all the machinery, all the diesels, I mean, it's construction, it's heavy construction, so there are lots of diesel engines around, dump trucks, all that kind of stuff. And it got me thinking about Cummins diesels for some reason, and I was like, hey, why don't I make one? So here we are. But yeah, with a background in civil engineering, it's just natural that I would end up being stuck around a bunch of heavy equipment. I think that's just the reality of life for anybody like me. Okay, I've kind of found the fault with the two-wheel drive. We have no options of getting out of this mud pit without rocking it back and forth, and eventually, there we go. I should tell you guys some stories about getting stuck in my old work truck. That was a fun time. Thank goodness I now have well, I'm working for a different company, but they've given me a truck that has four-wheel drive and a double cab, which is nice, instead of the two-wheel drive single cab truck that I had with a previous company. And that's the one that I was constantly getting stuck. This thing just reminds me of that quite a bit. I don't know why, even though this is an extra cab and a lot older, and obviously supposed to be a diesel, but I had a V6 back in those days. Man, those were dark times. Okay, so I've got it hooked up to a hay trailer. This is the exact same hay trailer that I was using last time with the last truck, that Hummer. The thing is, I believe that this vehicle weighs less and also has more power, so we should be able to do better. Although the back end is wiggling as I try to accelerate here. The spacing on this engine, or this transmission I should say, is not particularly good. It's definitely a bit lower than maybe it should be. It's not spaced for acceleration, it is spaced for torque, maybe? I don't know. I just messed with it until it came out with good numbers. That's all I saw. Either way, though, I figure while we're here on the racetrack, let's go ahead and try a banked curve with a hay bale trailer, because why not? I mean, we have the torque. We don't have the speed. I mean, we're doing 40. This is a heavy trailer, though. This is not the kind of thing that you would pull with a small truck like this, I don't think. This would be a 2500 or 3500 only type trailer. And, oh geez, that's really banking. I don't think I can get any higher on the bank, but if I do, I might be able to lose some of the load here. Oh, not literally, though. Goodness. Well, that's not quite what I had intended. Okay, quick restart here. Thankfully, these days you can restart with things that you were noted to, like a trailer, so I don't have to do them separately. Makes it a lot bloody easier when you make a mistake, which you can probably imagine I make a lot of. This thing is so eerily silent, it almost sounds like an electric car. It's just a little bit too quiet. Oh my goodness, no. Oh, yeah, apparently all the torque in the world can't overcome bad transmission tuning, but here we are. Okay, I want to give you a comparison between the Hummer and this, so I'm just going to line up on the street down here. I'm going to spawn the Hummer in the exact same spot, and then we're going to race them between each other, and you'll see what I'm kind of talking about. Okay, so here we have a pairing for the ages. This is the Hummer versus the Ford/Cummins XLT, but I want to show you what the Hummer with its one gear looks like. In terms of speed, let's just give a comparison. This thing, if you remember, goes up to 2000 RPM, that's it. It is four-wheel drive and stuff, but I've turned that off for the purposes of this test. It is only going to be two-wheel drive. I'm just going to hammer it, it'll probably wheel spin, but here we go. Okay, yeah, it's wheel spinning like crazy, which I guess doesn't necessarily make this a fair comparison. But down to the end here, our actual speed is up to 40 kilometers an hour when we pass that by, so yeah, that's not too bad. I'm just going to slow it on down, stop it here for now, and we'll go around the rest of the course with this in a bit. Now, if we start the same way with this setup, you can see that as I accelerate here, we're probably not going to hit 40 by the time I get to the end of there, and if we do, that'd be some kind of miracle. We have no wheel spin, which is great, but yeah, I think it needed less spacing and, I don't know, a lot more power. A lot more power. That's really all that it needed. Okay, I guess my next build is just going to have to have a ridiculous amount of power, but I'm not going to be doing a build next week, and I'll tell you why coming up. And actually the week after is going to be something a little bit more special as well. Totally forgot about that. Probably should remember what's going on. Well, around the banked curve we go again. I just want to see if I can make it one lap with this. I don't know why. I'm just kind of like, I messed up last time, so I'm trying to redeem myself. Maybe that's the case. Maybe I'm just trying to crash in an elaborate and hopefully entertaining way. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing anymore, or at all for that matter. Oh wow, that's a sharp corner. We're not gonna make it around here. Yeah, it's the same thing again. Now if we take the Hummer and we attempt that again, it's gonna spin the wheels all over the place. I don't remember how much power this had, but I think it had less, if I'm remembering correctly. Or was it more? I don't know, it seems to be acting like it's more, that's for sure. And if we attempt the bent corner here in a similar fashion, I mean again we can't get up to much speed because this thing is very limited, because it's an automatic, and you can't go very fast in the first gear, so we just have to very slowly accelerate and pray that we can make it around that corner, which is currently bottlenecked, I would say, by a bunch of other bays of hail. Dyslexia, but in terms of speaking, I'm gonna invent new terms here. And yeah, we rolled in the same place. Well, can't say I didn't try it. You know what? I consider this to be a resounding success. Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Let's drop that trailer. I don't need it anymore anyways. And we'll go for a leisurely drive down the rest of the track while I explain what's going on next week. So exciting news, quite exciting in fact. I'm going to be moving into a house that my fiance and I bought, not next week, but the week after. So I'm going to be really busy that weekend and that week as well, just going to different meetings and stuff. If you've ever bought a house before, then you know what I'm talking about, but if not, which you probably haven't statistically speaking, based on the demographics of this channel, but it's pretty complicated and there's a lot of stuff to do, and that final week is going to be a bit of a crunch time, so I'm not going to have time to make a video. I'm sorry. What I will do instead is I'm going to make, well, I guess I'm not going to have enough time to make a regular video, I should say. I am going to make a video, but it's going to basically just be an update video letting you know what's going on with me and my personal life in terms of the house and what to expect in terms of content in the future. But it's basically just going to stay the same. That it's just going to be an update video because it's a lot easier for me to make. So yeah, that's kind of what's going to happen, and look forward to that. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe if you like this content, if you want to see more. Be sure to comment with more ideas. I definitely read them. A lot of the things that kind of get into my head are the comments that I see, because I do read every comment that I can find, and usually I enjoy them, so thank you for leaving them. But yeah, like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and I'll see you again next time. Big thank you to those who have chosen to support this channel. These guys are the consistent supporters, financially keeping me alive here. And if you want to support me, this is the best way to do so at the moment. Either that or donate when I often, well, very rarely do I stream, but when I do stream, donations are definitely a good way to support. But we've got Overlord, That Rice-Did Explorer, QT Bear, Terry Williams, The Most Random Person, 60 Cars and Stuff, Boris Ramirez, Jug, Jacob. Thank you guys for your support. I know I don't really do much with the join button other than this, but I'm trying to think of other ways to include you guys in things. If you have any ideas, let me know. Your comments get highlighted, so I'll see them pretty easily. Anyway, thanks guys. See you again next week, and then the week after for a better video, and then maybe a showcase. We'll see.